when it comes on.
Yeah. That's the sound. That's the sound the doctor makes when they're doing the prostate exam. Pow!
I hate you, Stuart.
Welcome back again to the Unlearning Curve, where we talk about things men talk about, like prostate exams and checking your testicles to make sure there's no lumps. No, the Unlearning Curve, where we actually talk about faith, we talk about deconstruction, we talk about mental health, and everything in between. And joining me today is Karl the Great, JD Forehand, and I'm also Stuart Delony. If you want to reach out to us, our email address is theunlearningcurvepodcast@gmail.com. And today, Karl, you're going to be hopping in to telling us about some of your favorite sayings, the Karlisms.
Yeah, this started out on Patheos as a blog, like most things for me, and I just have, first of all, the pitfalls we have with platitudes. The title of this is my favorite things to say. So I'm going to share with you some things that, at least at this point, this is where I've come to, and it helps me a little to have a phrase. That helps me. But I also realize there's pitfalls to having phrases and platitudes and truisms and so on.
So wait, are these going to be deep? Are these going to be like scriptural, or are these just kind of like your own, like, kiss my grits kind of sayings?
These will be like my, this is where I'm at.
Oh, okay.
And this phrase is helping me right now. And I'll keep working on it. I'll keep exploring and trying not to say, this is my belief that I'll have forever, because we know what we talked about already this morning about what that leads to. And platitudes and religious catchphrases usually are used to bypass difficult questions and reality. A lot of times mantras can be catchy phrases that we just want to make true, right? I start with an idea, I want to make it true, and not that there's not good in saying mantras and so on, and meditation and things like that. But truth, if we're going to say something is true or something I'm becoming to understand, needs more rigor than that. And so the importance of testing new ideas through my writing, and this is kind of how it comes about for me. First, I start by writing, and that helps me know what I think. Then I put it out there and let people trounce on it and see what and that's not to get validation or to prove it's right or anything like that. It's just to say, how does this affect people when I say it? Maybe it was a weird ass idea that I had in the middle of the night that I just want to see what my peers think about it and what they say. But then there's literature review, expert opinion, and more study. So it is a process, but I kind of write these things down when I get there and think, I think I'm on the right track, right? And even today with Larry, when he visited, I said, Larry, this is what I say sometimes. And I tried to listen and hear what he said without, having, this is certain and I know it, and you better agree with it or you're not on the train anymore. You won't come on the bus. It's not anything like that. So anyway, we good so far? The first one is theology as assumptions. Do either one of you remember what Larry said? All theology is a word kind of like that, right?
Yeah, but yours is way better. I like your word better. Because this is the one I remember.
I think it's similar. That doesn't prove anything. It just means that he's a reader and a thinker, and he's still in the journey and all those kind of things, and tries to avoid certainty. But he still said all theology is something like an assumption. It's a thing we've assumed that's true. So right now, instead of beliefs, I call them assumptions, because I think when you have you say it's a belief and this is absolutely true, then you defend it. And I made a post the other day that said, if you start out with a theology, an ideal, a doctrine, a Baptist faith message, and you set out on your mission to defend those beliefs in that statement, then at the end of your life, you're going to be where you started. You're not going to have a great awakening. You're not going to be enlightened. You're just going to learn how to argue and prove your point. And JD, are you trying to say something? Look like you're about to say something.
No,
so
I was coughing.
That's okay. I do that. And so realize that, hey, I think this is making sense to me. So I have a phrase, but that phrase can be disproved. It can be like, I think Stuart said earlier, I need to hold it lightly or loosely, right? Not grip it, because all gripping it does is, and calling it a belief, all it does is halts the process of refinement, and it ignores logic, it ignores flaws in the theory, and so on. So lots of ways to test your theories, right? And JD could probably do a better job of explaining that than me. But all theology is assumptions. Beliefs are not truths. Stop you more than they help you. It may make you feel good and you feel like God is on your side and you're right, but that doesn't necessarily solve any big problems for you in your life. Does it make sense?
It does. So I'm curious too, Karl. Like, and JD, correct me if I'm wrong. In the scientific community, we have things that are like laws, and we have things that are theories, and then we have like hypotheses. I don't know if that's the right way of doing it, but in faith, it's interesting. I think we treat so many things like it's all law. Like everything is irrefutable in law. And then there's no dealing with a hypothesis. There's no testing it out. There's no trying to walk with it like you're meaning, Karl. Like there's no dancing with it. It's an irrefutable law. And once that happens, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it freezes us in place. Yeah.
Well, and even to exactly to that point, like there are things that were law, like we were talking about earlier, like in places like Leviticus, that Jesus said, you've heard it's been said, but I say. And so it's like, it's not solid anyway. It can change, clearly. So I don't think any of that stuff is stagnant. I think thinking of anything as codified in terms of like law forever is number one, like doesn't fit with the Christian tradition, at least in the way the Bible teaches it. And also it's just not healthy as a human being, because if you're that static, you're going to become that old boomer, whatever, Gen X or whatever, and you're never going to change. You're never going to update your thoughts. You're not going to be willing to move with new evidence. But I mean, I think, again, also to mention stuff that was said earlier, like that's a very comfortable place to be, because you just know, okay, these are the set of beliefs I have to have, and I'm comfortable there. I don't ever have to actually think about it, and I can feel morally supported to other people.
Take the dopamine shot and fit in, get some benefits from the community, and go home.
Yeah,
it's good. And I think Larry's did the initial episode this month from Larry, and then Stuart's discussion right before this would be good to go back if you haven't seen those yet, for some support for that idea. Second idea was be where you are, be who you are. That's what we say on the Desert Sanctuary when we close out every time. It started when we were in Taiwan. JD, I had read a book called Falling Upward, Richard Rohr. I think Richard Rohr he's a Catholic something. I haven't listened to him in a long time, so I start forgetting things. But it helped me. That Falling Upwards talked about the ego of your first half of life, and then when you have the dark night of the soul or the awakening or whatever, and then you start pursuing things that are more what you're experiencing and so on, not your identity, that ego identity. I'm a plumber, I do this, I'm a Baptist, and so on. You're not establishing your identity. The second half of your life could be different. And that's when I said I want to be authentic. I said, and I got the tattoo. It's written in Thai traditional script, which they use in Taiwan. So that meant something to me because JD's there. But while we were there, I met the guy with no name in the tea shop. And in the tea shop, he just showed that to me. He showed authenticity, first of all. But the second thing he showed me was presence. When we talked about, living the life, and earlier in the first two episodes, living the life instead of just, having the ideals of it, that guy showed it to me. And that's when I began my journey with presence and authenticity. Be where you are and be who you are. And then that became the book right after that was called Being, My Journey with Presence and Authenticity. So I think shedding that egoic corporate identity kind of especially religious ones, and find true self, live authentically, uh, and live presently in the present. Thoughts?
No, I'm because I like how you were laying that out, Karl. It makes me think of, like your journey, or a lot of our journeys too, is that because of presence and authenticity, like that's what led you to deconstruction. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because to remain you would have had to cease being who you were, or cease dreaming, or growing, or adapting, learning. Yeah. And yeah, I thought it was a really good way of putting it too. That sometimes in pursuit of us being authentic, it will lead us away from places and into other things as well. Yeah.
I have what the T guy wrote. I have it. Like, I should just give this to you. I don't know why I have it, but anyway.
I wanted to.
So that whole thing is tattooed on Karl's lower back?
Yeah, no. He has a tramp stamp of this. It's really cool.
Love it. It is.
Only my mom gets to see it, but it's pretty wild. But yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly the point. When you get so dogmatic and again, my light keeps going out. When you get so dogmatic in that, there's no room for growth, and that's why I kind of, to like the topic that you brought down, is like, I don't like these axioms and maxims and stuff. Like, to a degree I do, but I also, like, anytime I tell like some of my students those kind of things, I'm just like, but this comes with like a million caveats. So like, don't follow this all the time. But like, if it helps you in certain places, like I've been teaching a bunch of kids like the Serenity Prayer recently, because like they get hung up on stuff because they're kids, and like I was the exact same way as a high schooler, and I'm just like, this is useful when it's useful, but when it's not useful, or when it gets you hung up, and like, then don't use it. Or like, when I read it, I read like the first 3 lines, and then it starts getting like really Christian. I'm like, this you don't really need to worry about. Like, but I think that's the hard thing, is you have to always be willing to be flexible in terms of, you can't get too tied down into any of those things, because if you get tied down to those things, then you won't grow. Like exactly like you were saying, Stuart. I think you raised, the way you said it was really good. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good point.
All of that to say, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, the point, like, so with presence, it is good at times to look towards the future and plan and imagine and all those kind of things. It's also good occasionally to go to the past, and restore some things and work through some things like that. So there's benefit, but it helps me because my inclination is not to be present. It's to be somewhere else, even when I'm sitting here. So it's helpful. But the next one is probably one of those that's newer and it's got some stuff that still needs to be worked out, but it's a recent thing I learned about behavior and communication, that from the moment we kind of arrive as an infant, we communicate our needs as best we can to the caregiver. And that's kind of built into us, that the way we act is often, probably is what in here it says all behavior is communication. And that's not exactly right? I'm already kind of hoping to refine that and having discussions like this where it can get better. But from a trauma-informed perspective, we understand that behavior, especially misbehavior, is often subconscious signal of unmet needs or past trauma. So,
or current
it's
trauma.
a shift. Yeah. And so it's a shift in inquiry. It's like moving from asking what's wrong with you to what happened to you, right? Yeah. So what are you maybe even subconsciously trying to communicate to me? What happened to you? What was your experience, and how does that feel, and where's it in your body, and those kind of things. So behavior is certainly what we were taught, not sin. Behavior is not always rebellion. Behavior is not that they don't understand the rules. It's that I came to school dysregulated, and my teacher's yelling at me, and I'm yelling back, and I don't hate my teacher. I want to behave. I'm dysregulated, and so are you, by the way, Miss Teacher. You need to get regulated so that we can, and they don't.
Yeah, if you're screaming at a child as a teacher, you're dysregulated. You need to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. And I could give you some experience.
Sometimes it's not even being disobedient. I have a kid that I work with a lot. I talk to him every day. He's not even my student anymore. He's my old student, but we chat back and forth every day. The biggest thing for him is that there's no dialogue. It's that he's dictated to all the time, and he doesn't speak out a lot of times. He doesn't talk back. He doesn't cause problems in the classroom, but it's why are you distant? Why are you not paying attention? Why are you not doing this? And part of it is that his main lingua franca is English, and he has a lot of trauma that deals with the language of Mandarin. So it's like he kind of like has to deal with that, and I have to talk through him. Like he's like, I wanted to fucking yell at my teacher today. I'm like, well, I'm glad you didn't, but I understand why you wanted to. But But it's also the thing is it's complicated because it's hard for teachers too. Teaching a classroom of 30 kids is fucking hard. Like if I would have left my phone ringer on right now, probably every like 5 minutes you would hear a bing, bing, bing. Or right now my thing is a meow. But anyway, like. But when you're in the classroom, like I tell my kids this because I try to teach them like, listen, I understand you guys are overstimulated sometimes, but like as teachers, from the time I go into school to the time I go out of school, and there are TikToks and videos on this, like if you count the amount of questions I get asked every day, it's thousands. Kids go, hey, how are you, teacher? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Okay, it's constant, and it's. As a person who's very much a nei xiang, how do you say that in English? Introvert, sorry. I'm very introverted, and I need a lot of like personal time. Like it's overwhelming. And then I get home and I have to still work on that stuff, and then you're getting emails and you're getting texts and like listen, and what I tell the kids is like, don't worry, like if I really need the time, I'll try to take it for myself. But it is overwhelming at times. And it's tough. And of course, for kids, it's even harder because they don't know how to regulate that shit. And so when you have adults that can't regulate and lash out at children, how are children going to learn to regulate themselves? It's insane. Sorry to go on a rant, but like it does really frustrate me.
Yeah, and you said even when they're rebellious or disobedient, what's that really about, right?
Attention.
So I think it helps as the person that's higher up or an authority or a teacher or a friend has the primary responsibility, because we grew up with behaviorism from Skinner. What's his name? Yeah, Skinner.
Yeah, Skinner.
So, which he learned from Pavlov, right? So it's all,
the guy who cut out like the vocal cords of dogs and things like that. Yeah, real good guy.
Yeah. But I mean, we embraced it, right, for 100 years. But reward, punishment. If that doesn't work, if I try a couple of times, then they just don't want to. They don't want to. They're bad. And we're real good at that in religion. They're asking too many questions. They're acting different or whatever. They're just evil. They're just bad. They need Jesus, and that'll miraculously change them, and that contributes to the problem. But if we have a mindset of there's something going on under that, it's not about me as much as it's about them. There's something going on, and to get curious about that goes 1,000 miles in the right direction.
I think part of that is just because it's the easy answer. It's what makes it easiest, and we kind of find everything kind of looks for the path of least resistance. But in the long run, obviously it isn't.
What are you thinking about, Stuart?
No, I think I'm trying to ponder, like, I like what you're doing with these. I feel like they're interrelated and they're connected too, Karl. Because even like what we're talking about, this behavior is communication. In these situations, like where this kid or whatever is speaking out or acting out, it also tells us that kid is not present within his own body, space, and who they are as well too. So I love how you're these are kind of interconnected in a certain way. Like, or I don't know your assumptions. So I was kind of connected in my head. I was like, I like that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they are. This next one is not. I'm not the expert on this one, and Larry in the first episode, I think, even talked about this one. And the way I wrote it was, religion is mostly about culture. I I'm observing JD from a distance. Really, I don't know what he does every day on a daily basis, but I'm picking up hints that the religious experience he has in Taiwan is a lot about being together with other people. We always said that in church, you know. But like we talked about earlier in the first two episodes, it's not about proving we're right and God is on our side and you're wrong and I need to evangelize you. That guy in the tea shop was talking about his practices. JD can correct me if I'm wrong. You probably understood more than I did, but he was talking about his practices, about his yoga practice and how it's helped him. He was 50 something years old and real limber and all that. And he was sharing with us. He brought us, what was it? Sunflower seeds.
He also brought us, like, I think he brought us, it's called Lu Wei in Taiwan, but there's no, like, it's like stewed, like, stuff. It's stewed stuff. But yeah, sunflower seeds and I think peanuts and a bunch of stuff. Just like all the classic, like, Taiwanese little snacks.
And some really good. He brought us a ceremonial vodka, Everclear. I don't know what it was. It was really
it's what it is it's called in Taiwan. It's called gaoliang, but his was like a really like good bottle, I guess. But basically, it's a sorghum liquor. I don't know if you guys even know what sorghum is, but
I do.
Yeah, it's a sorghum liquor. So yeah, it's like very unique to Taiwan. Like they grow it in an island off of Taiwan called Jinmen. Anyway, but yeah.
What I heard through the translator was usually you don't give that to foreigners or outsiders, right? Or is that right or not?
Yeah, it's complex. It kind of depends on the person because like I've definitely been offered it from people, but I also like it's usually after I like talk to them. But yeah, like in terms of foreigners, they're usually if they offer it to you, it's kind of like as a joke because it's like really strong, right? And so
I want to see your reaction to it.
Yeah. They're just trying to like give kind of have a fun time with you. But yeah, his was like definitely more like genuine because he didn't like try to get you to drink a bunch. He gave you a little bit, and like part of this, and I don't even understand all of this because it's like that's like really complicated, like ancient. There's a lot of stuff built into that, but yeah, it's he wasn't trying to like drink you under the table or something. He was like genuinely trying to make a connection. It seems like. But some of that is also like what he wrote is also about alcohol and not consuming too much, but like kind of enjoying it and things like that.
Yeah. I had different opinions on what it actually meant, but the experience from him was a cultural experience. He went through kind of a tea ceremony from Dr. Happy, the chiropractor. I'd learned kind of the way that goes a little bit, and so then it was just a cultural experience. I wrote The Risk of Dogma, warning against using ancient cultural roadmaps as permanent, unquestionable systems for a modern society. It just doesn't seem like the road to success. There's so many examples you could give of that. If in Scripture it said ride your horse to the desert, right, to get clarity. Well, I don't have a horse or a desert, so it's cultural, and most religion is cultural. I think saying this is the way it should be forever is the worst kind of theology.
Think about like I made me think of like Appalachian like Pentecostal churches that like handle snakes and stuff. Yeah. That's definitely cultural. That's definitely something that they have picked up on. I understand they can loosely connect it to Scripture, but that shit is crazy and it's stupid. But it is definitely part of a
maybe
regional culture.
Maybe Hindu stuff more than Christianity, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You talking about the snake charmers versus like
snake handlers,
and the Lord just running around holding like rattlesnakes and shit. That's cultural, but it's crazy because if you think of it, like we can point out these weird cultural things in religion, these small ones. But there's larger ones too, like American Christianity as a whole doesn't look like Christianity in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
And it has different ethics and it has different values and but again, yeah, it's a piece of culture. Like the idea that somehow Christian nationalists have a lot in common with like first century Christians is kind of rich. they think they are, and all of this kind of stuff. I mean, yeah.
They're more like the Romans, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next one was...
who were very good at...
With more truck nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is the organization always comes first. And this is just a thought that's been with me all through my deconstruction. In looking back at how the sausage was made and looking what I did and when I went along, even though I had love and compassion and I tried to focus on that, I was still in the system. And the organization always comes first before the individual. And they say, Jesus first, others second, yourself last. And Tia Lovings says, when you do that, there's never time for yourself, right? So the organization comes first, the show must go on, literally. And that's just kind of something that's been with me ever since I sit down and say, well, how much money does the church take in? What do they, and where does that go? What does that say about our priorities? What does it say about, are we actually doing the thing we started out to do in this? Observations on how religious organizations often shift from serving people to prioritizing their own operational cycles and survival, right? So how do we survive as a group instead of how do I do what's best for me? And the guy on stage generally is most concerned about himself and what he wants and she wants and so on. Anyway, the organization always comes first.
When those things get big, it becomes about money. And like that is the, I mean, again, I don't really like maxims, but money is the root of all evil. Like the god of mammon is the one that like most people worship. And especially in America, America is uber capitalist. Like it is all about worshiping money. And I mean, when you get to that level, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, the most extreme example is people like Joel Osteen and stuff like that are just like anathema to my belief system.
Well, it makes me think too, like how many churches, and I know several denominations, like the United Methodist Church will do this on a regular basis to where it's like certain time of the year, it's usually October. It's everything we're preaching about is about giving. And it's about teaching people how to give to the church, which, like, if we're trying to help people grow, like, if we do this every single fucking year, do we assume they haven't learned what we're trying to tell them? But we want to remind them because they're not giving enough or doing all of this. But it's so weird that becomes about spiritual formation. For an entire month.
Is the right word for that. No. Yeah, that's the word they use, spiritual formation.
Yeah.
And that means molding you. Right?
Well,
to give,
you, not teaching you.
Yeah. And to Stuart's point, like if you teach it every year and people are showing up every year and they're not getting it, then you're an inefficient teacher. Maybe you should be replaced. That's a good point. Or maybe like that's not actually the message and you need to switch up what it is. But I think what it boils down to is like what I think about it and the message I go more towards, because I tend to be a little more on the anarchist side, is like if you really believe in that stuff, then sell all your things and follow him. Like be like, go hang out with the prostitutes and like the homeless people and like actually fucking get into it. But no one wants to do that. Like myself included. Like, am I gonna like I don't own a house, like, but I'm not gonna like give up my residence to like go live on the streets, because that's fucking hard. I'm gonna do like the best I can. Like I give money to charity. I give money like straight up to homeless people. I buy homeless people food and stuff. Like I have some people in the area. But like, I'm not gonna like actually like leave my house and like, let my dogs be homeless and stuff. Like, but even more so with people, again, like I mentioned Joel Osteen earlier, like that motherfucker is like literally preaching the opposite. Like, give all your money to me and then you'll also get rich, which is obviously bullshit.
I never do. Yeah.
No, of course it's grandmas that fucking give their last $2 and they fucking die alone.
Seen tons of them like
that's
that.
That's like the most predatory bullshit. Like, that guy I can't say what I want. We're going to put this on YouTube. I can't say what I think that should happen to that guy. I'm not allowed to on YouTube. Sorry. It'll violate TOS. So.
I remember this too. It was a friend of mine and he was working for a church. And this is like when I was in like my parachurch, like missionary phase. And he decided, he's like, I work for a church and my church requires me to tithe, but he was going to tithe to me. Because he was like, it feels kind of stupid if I'm getting paid by this church and then I'm giving it back to the church. And it kind of felt like almost like a tax, like and how it's working. And
kind of like a company script system kind of thing.
Yep, but it was the thing. He eventually got called out because apparently the pastor checked to see what people's giving were.
Mm-hmm.
They would like look through these kind of things for that, and he was like, "But I'm still giving to the kingdom." Like, no. You need like that's secondary. You give to your church first, and then this. Yeah.
I definitely tried to avoid looking at individual giving, but you knew somehow, and the ones that were giving to get influence let you know,
mm-hmm.
or let you know when they're pulling it back.
But can you imagine how fucked up that is for a pastor that's sitting and looking through like financials and being like, I've seen this guy's car, he's not giving his amount. But if you're at that phase of doing it, you're done. Like I feel like any perspective of being pastoral or caring for people, you're fucked. You're done. You're never coming back for this, and you're just a horrible person. And I feel like there's a lot of pastors that are like that, not just looking at that have no heart to be a shepherd or no heart to give. Like we're saying, with what Larry had mentioned, the rich young ruler thing, Jesus isn't specifically telling us we have to just sell everything and go live on the street. I mean, he's using hyperbole to push the main idea of that he knew this rich young ruler would not do that. He would not leave things and follow things.
Yeah.
And I think like what you're talking, like JD, yes, you do the things you are present in your community. You are present with those that are in need. You're present in school. That's kind of the call that we're supposed to be about, not this other kind of crazy bullshit that we get caught up in. And I feel like we're so far off the point. And like with American Christianity, it's profound how far we are from the point.
Yeah. It gets back to humanity instead of religion.
Yeah.
And sharing produce with the people across the street, even though they're Trump supporters, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're not anymore.
It's because of the produce.
If you keep working on them too, they may get there. So
I need to convince them, right? I'm just kidding.
No, I saw something where
a couple platitudes.
Someone did a study. I was watching this. I don't know who the they is, but where they got a bunch of Fox News watchers, people that watch like 10 hours of Fox News a day, and they decided to pay them only an hour a day. But I mean, for an hour a day, they got paid like it was like $25 an hour for that hour to just watch CNN for a month. And so they made sure they would check in and ask them questions to make sure they did it. And it wasn't like miraculous, like they were like, "Ooh, I'm no longer a Republican," but bringing those other ideas into the sphere, it gave them critical thinking for a time period. And they would start to go, "Oh, I can see this differently. Oh, wait, that's not true. Oh, interesting." The sad thing is, after the study was over, most of them went back to watching Fox News.
Yeah.
But I think it's being able to offer us that difference to be able to see things for as they are.
But I think it's related to a lot of the things that we've talked about this whole time, which is just like those to get to those kind of points, you have to like deal with some amount of being uncomfortable. And like that's how we grow, right? If you want to build muscle mass, you have to, and I have no room to talk about this anymore, but in high school I used to be in the gym every day because I played football and stuff. Like you have to be uncomfortable to get to that next level. You like whatever it is, like read, like I talk to my students about those all the time. They're like, I fucking hate studying, like I hate reading. I'm like, number one, first of all, when you grow more familiar with stuff, it gets easier. But also when you know more about a subject, it gets more fun. But yeah, again, like when you start learning other things, you're gonna kind of put up the walls against it. But the more you those boundaries, the more it gets fun to do that as well. But it takes a lot of time, and most people again don't want to take the time. They want to get the fucking dopamine boost of scrolling their phones or reading the same thing they've read 100 times, etc., or feeling morally superior to another person because they can quote some inane scripture to them that doesn't actually mean anything or is out of context.
Next one's patriarchy leads to toddlers in charge. The guy in Tennessee, Greg Locke. Greg Locke once said, "Even when I'm wrong, I'm right, because I'm your papa." Right? And so narcissists believe that they're a special case and that you're not. They may have started with good intentions and so on and things like that, but it's movement away from top-down structured ideals but those ideals attract narcissistic leadership.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just the current president of the United States is just the best example of them. He was taught by a mentor early on, deny everything, never admit you're wrong, just because you're different. You're not like them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Even before that, he was taught by his Klansman father. So that's also a good, really good role model.
Yeah. So those elevated leaders avoid responsibility. They expect no questions, to be unquestioned.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not questioned, you get on the bus. Mark Driscoll says, get on the bus or you're going to get run over by it. And it's that thinking. But like Mark Wayne Mullen being promoted to a real high position and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, invites people in the Senate.
It's like pick a first
doesn't
name.
fight
like
people.
Yeah.
He threatens to fight people.
Threatens to fight people because he's an MMA guy or whatever he is. Has a high school education, which is good. It's fine. I mean, that's what you want to pursue and do. But the other day, he's the one they were talking to that says we're at war, but we're not in a war, you know. And you just get this kind of toddler energy.
It's going to be hard for him because his job is going to require like reading.
Yeah.
And hypothetically, these folks are going to require a lot of reading. I'm assuming there's lots of reports that are coming in, things that are happening, lots of words on pages, and he struggles with that.
Well,
and,
Trump leads from the front though, because he doesn't read the briefings either, so it's like it's fine.
True. Yeah.
Also, I mean, there's the picture that Stuart and I were talking about before we started the podcast this week. Of he was hiding behind the bench, like he's clearly a coward. He can talk a big game, as a lot of quote unquote tough guys can, but he's a fucking pussy. Like, I don't know. Sorry if anyone is offended by me using that word, but I use it in a, you know.
I'm more offended by the name Mark Wayne with no spaces.
Dude, that's
a word.
I legitimately until like today, I thought it was a space. I thought it was Mark Wayne, but it's not. It's
give me a hyphen
or
something.
Word.
Yeah.
One word, Mark Wayne.
Just do
Wayne.
put a semicolon. Please, but that not a fucking single word.
Ampersand.
That's not a word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Mark and Wayne.
I was waiting, and he was trying to steal what's his name's placard sign in the State of the Union.
Nancy Pelosi?
No, it's the guy that had a protest sign last time and got kicked out.
Oh.
He's the black guy.
Al Green.
Al Green.
Yeah.
I was waiting for
Mo Green or
Al Green just to level him.
Yeah.
He's trying to steal his protest sign, and he eventually got kicked out again, and so on. But and the sign just said "Black people are not apes," right? And referencing Trump's deal, you know, when he released the video with the Obamas. Anyway, everybody knows about that. I hope.
Side point: in Taiwan, the legislature, they do like have open fist fights a lot of the times. Like it's like literally, there was some American legislators that visited and they gave them boxing gloves to take pictures on the floor of the house, because like they do like fight here sometimes. It's not like all the time, and sometimes it's also performative, so it's kind of bullshit. But like I honestly wish sometimes, like, listen, Mark Wayne, fucking throw him up. Let's go. Like, if someone wants to fight, let's fight. Like, I don't think that's actually the solution. I generally think like we should actually use like detente and diplomacy, but clearly the United States isn't into that, as the new war in Iran shows. So fucking throw down then. I don't know. Like some of it just frustrates me because it's just a lot of posturing, and it's the same thing when I was in university where we would go on. It would be like me and three friends, and we'd go on like some frat guy's lawn, and they'd be like, "Oh man, my dad's lawyer. Like you fucking fucked up. I'm gonna fuck you up. Like, or I'm gonna sue you." And we'd be like, "Okay, so do it." And they'd be like, "Oh, my friends are gonna come out," and they'd have like 16 friends come out, and we'd be like, "Okay, so what are you guys gonna do?" They're like, "We'll fuck you up." And okay, let's go. Like, oh sorry, I messed up. Ooh, get into it.
Got fired computer.
Up. My friends
Someone took a swing at you.
Yeah. One of my friends would pick up a brick or something, and then they'd back off, and it's like, okay, you guys are fucking like cowards. Like, stop talking so much shit. Like, let's either just have an honest dialogue or let's fight.
Yeah.
That's the point where I'm at with like a lot of like the U.S. society. Let's fight. If we're gonna fight, let's fight. Otherwise, shut the fuck up and let's have an actual dialogue. Because you'll lose that, and you'll probably also lose the fight, to be honest, most of the time. with the amount of Nazis that get punched and then cry about it afterwards, it seems like you guys are kind of cowards. You just kind of want to like use rhetorical bullshit to try to make some.
They don't make Nazis like they used to.
You know, I hate to say it, but you're not wrong. And I mean, even the Nazis in the past lost again to you know, to liberals and anarchists and communists. Yeah. So like, yeah, it's a minority of the population. You're gonna fucking lose. So like, if you want to throw down, let's throw down. Otherwise, shut the fuck up. Yeah. And either have a conversation or just go into your little corner and do your own thing.
Yeah, I'm going to push it along a little bit here.
Yeah,
Stuart.
Yeah. So Karl, start to. Yeah, what is the heart of what you're getting at
here?
What are you teaching us?
Yeah, there's
Brother
a couple.
Karl.
You can't disagree with something you don't understand was one we've talked about earlier today. And this one we don't have time to do. Holy books are usually horrible guidebooks. We could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
Probably
and then wisdom versus dogma, they're just two different things. I would encourage you to do something similar to what I did in my experience in deconstruction, is to start with the question, maybe I'm wrong. And go back to Larry and hear his take on that, where he says, I might be wrong, right? So we may be wrong in our religion, and God could handle that question. That's what I started with initially. And then other things happened and provoked further thought. But you find your way. A good way for me is writing. So I write things down. Then, like I said, I expose it and then take that, in that vulnerable way. Usually, sometimes it's provocative and that's not good. But, then go study and find out and test it and see if it actually works, if it makes sense, if it's logical, if it really has a good outcome or not, or you need to get rid of that. You can get rid of theology that doesn't work, that isn't effective, and so on. So you'll have to read other things I've written and so on, because we don't have time. Holy books are horrible guidebooks. And so we want wisdom. We don't necessarily need dogma. We need a basic set of things we're pursuing, things we're trying to understand. And when we make sense of them, then it's okay to say, I think that's true. And I think it's helpful. I found some research and it works. It helps me love my neighbor and things like that. So anyway, that's what I try to get at, not to invent new platitudes for everybody to follow, but they're kind of like mile markers for me to say, this is where I am right now.
I like that, Karl, too.
And I want to put some more rigor to it.
Yeah.
Even though it's a set statement. And like we said, one of these already needs to change. Right. And so as I grow, as I experience, as I explore, then those will be refined, or they may be replaced by something else. But it's a journey and I'm going, right?
My pushback, Karl, I'm curious about your last one you were mentioning. I know we're getting a little on time, but not to edit it, because I think that just one way to hold it differently with that there are holy books and then there are guidebooks. And they're two different things. Like, they're not meant to be the same thing. I think that they're, it's like different forms of literature. There are holy books, and they are good for certain, like, deep things that you're wanting to wrestle through, or other things maybe, but they are not a guidebook. They are not like, a guidebook like how to survive the tribulation. See, that's a guidebook.
Yeah,
that's a guidebook.
Clearly,
that's
what I was thinking as well.
This is a holy guidebook, though, but no.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right. You're right about that.
I think the Tribulation Survival Guide is definitely it's a guidebook, and I feel like I have a step-by-step guide to get through the tribulation if
you need to.
Yeah, if I interact with
you have a plan. Yeah,
I think I know what I'm going to do.
God has a plan for us.
Yeah. So I think someone kind of said it earlier, just that. Yeah, it's a journey, and anytime we say, well, this tells me exactly what to do. That's assuming that it's perfect, inerrant, and all those other things that we've already talked about in the first two episodes and earlier. I can't pick things out of other holy books and say that's true forever, and that's going to, those are things that may be helpful, and they may be wise, and they may be effective, but to some degree, I got to test them out. I got to find expert opinion, and then it's probably only part of the solution. It's one viewpoint from one area, from one place, from one and so on. So we don't have time to do all that.
No, but it's good.
JD, going to close us out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say not to extend this any further, but part of the reason that you might feel that you have to test them out is because it's not your environment that like makes you feel comfortable with them. Because when you are in a Christian environment, especially an evangelical one, that's what everyone else thinks. And so of course it makes you feel comfortable. When you think about those other beliefs and you raise them, as we were talking about with Larry earlier, like those things don't make people comfortable because it makes them think about stuff. And when we have to actually think about stuff, for a lot of people, they don't have to do that for most of their lives, so they're not feeling comfortable. And so then, yeah.
Back to JD's previous point, I don't have giant balls and spew like a horse or whatever. So I can't use that verse. It doesn't apply to me.
Anytime we can end a session on Karl talking about his balls. I think
Penises and balls, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we started with prostate.
There's a drug out right now that just repeatedly does side effects of the anus and genitals, between the anus and genitals, over and over again.
Oh my God!
I feel like we're inclined to come back to that subject.
I think anytime we can end on a verse from Ezekiel, I think we should continue to do it. 23:20, baby.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get that shit
on
tattooed
my forehead. It becomes a doctrine. Just keep pounding it. Well, stop.
Christ.